Josh Kerr stepped onto the track at the Commonwealth Games mile final, a packed stadium screaming his name. 2 weeks earlier, he had broken the mile world record in London. Now he had to prove it wasn't a fluke, on home soil, with his whole country watching. What happened next left the stadium in shock. 2 weeks before this race, Josh Kerr was already a legend. He had gone to London Stadium and run the fastest mile ever recorded by a human being. His time was 3 minutes and 42.66 seconds. That single run broke a record that had survived for 27 years. The old record belonged to Hicham El Guerrou, a runner so respected that most experts thought his mark would never fall. Kerr didn't just beat it, he became the first man in history to run a mile in under 3 minutes and 43 seconds. That record didn't happen by accident. Kerr had spent months building toward it. He called the project Project 222, a nickname built from the total number of seconds he was chasing. 3 minutes and 42 seconds. He announced his plan months in advance, which meant if he failed, the whole world would watch him fail in public. That takes a certain kind of confidence. Most athletes protect themselves by staying quiet about big goals, just in case things go wrong. Kerr did the opposite. He put a number on the wall and dared himself to hit it. He didn't fail. He ran a controlled, brutal race with his training partner, Brannon Kidder, pacing him through the opening laps at world record tempo. Kerr sat just behind Kidder through the first 400 meters, trusting the plan completely. By the final stretch, with the crowd on its feet, Kerr had nothing left to prove to anyone. American star Yared Nuguse finished second that day, more than 3 seconds behind. That gap tells you everything. This wasn't a close race. It was a demolition. Kerr later said the moment felt overwhelming and admitted he nearly lost his composure crossing the line. For a man who had trained years for that exact moment, even he wasn't fully ready for how it would feel. Except he did have one more thing to prove. The Commonwealth Games were coming to Glasgow, Scotland. That's Kerr's home country. And, for the first time since 1966, the mile was returning to the Commonwealth Games program. Organizers brought it back on purpose as a tribute to one of the most famous races in track history. Back in 1954, at the Vancouver Games, Roger Bannister and John Landy raced each other in what fans still call the Miracle Mile. When the two of them finally lined up against each other, the whole world stopped to watch. That 1954 race wasn't just fast. It changed how people thought about human limits. For years, experts believed running a mile in under 4 minutes was physically impossible for the human body. Bannister proved them wrong first. Then, weeks later, Landy ran even faster in a separate race. When the two men finally met head-to-head at the Commonwealth Games, both had already broken 4 minutes, and the world wanted to know who was truly the best. Bannister won that duel, and the moment became one of the most famous in sports history. More than 70 years after that race, the mile was back, and Josh Kerr, the new world record holder, was the overwhelming favorite to win it. But favorites don't always get an easy path. Sometimes the pressure of being the favorite is the hardest part of the race. Everyone expects you to win. Nobody remembers how hard it actually is to close out a title when your name is already the headline before the gun even fires. The field chasing him wasn't soft, either. Fellow Scot Jake Wightman came in as a former world champion himself. Timothy Cheruiyot had Olympic medal experience and a finishing kick that had beaten plenty of good runners before. Cameron Myers, still young, had spent the season closing the gap on the sport's biggest names. This wasn't a parade lap for Kerr. It was a genuine fight. The final took place at Scotstoun Stadium, and every ticket was sold. Fans wore blue and white. They came specifically to watch their hometown hero try to do something almost no one gets to do: win a world record and a major title within the same month. From the very start, the race did not go smoothly for Kerr. The pace was fast and aggressive, with runners bumping shoulders and fighting for position. At one point, Kerr found himself boxed in, stuck behind other runners with nowhere to go. For a world record holder, getting trapped like that is dangerous. One wrong move, one stumble, and the whole race could slip away. Kerr didn't panic. He worked his way to the outside, searching for space. By the bell lap, the signal that runners have 1 lap left, Kerr had fought his way up to 3rd place. Ahead of him were 2 serious threats: Kenya's Timothy Cheruiyot a former Olympic medalist with blazing speed, and Australia's Cameron Myers, a rising young star who had been closing the gap on the world's best all season. Then Kerr made his move down the back straight, with the crowd roaring so loud that some runners said they could barely hear their own footsteps. Kerr surged past Cheruiyot. Then he caught Myers. By the time he hit the final corner, Kerr was in the lead, and he was not looking back. He crossed the finish line in 3 minutes and 54.12 seconds. That's almost 12 seconds slower than his world record pace. But it didn't matter. This wasn't about speed. This was about winning in front of the people who raised him. On the track where he learned to run, Cameron Myers took silver. Timothy Cheruiyot claimed bronze. And in a tough blow for Scottish fans hoping for a clean sweep, Jake Wightman faded late and finished 5th. It was a reminder that even great champions don't always get the storybook ending. On this night, there was only room for one Scottish hero, and Kerr made sure it was him. After the race, Kerr didn't rush off the track. He stayed at Scotstoun for almost an hour, signing autographs and posing for photos with young fans, some of whom probably dream of standing where he stood one day. He later said that hearing Flower of Scotland play instead of the usual national anthem hit him differently. Kerr described the Commonwealth Games as the meet he had circled on his calendar before any of the other big events this season, even before his world record attempt. That's a bold claim from a man who just broke one of track and field's oldest records, but it shows what this title actually meant to him. Medals and records are impressive, but competing in front of your own people on the track where you grew up, there's also a bigger picture here. Kerr is only 28 years old. He already holds the world 1500-meter title from 2023, an Olympic silver medal, 2 world indoor titles, and now a world record and a Commonwealth gold in the mile, all within the same short stretch of time. Very few runners in history have stacked achievements like this so quickly, with barely any recovery time. He raced again under enormous pressure. Kerr had talked before about wanting to leave his mark on British athletics, to be remembered alongside the legends who came before him. A world record alone might have been enough to do that. Winning gold on home soil 2 weeks later, in the exact event created to honor one of the sport's most famous races, pushed his case even further. The return of the mile to the Commonwealth Games could easily have been remembered as just a nice tribute to history. It turned into one of the signature moments of the entire Games. Because the right runner showed up at the right time, the event organizers chose to bring back the mile specifically because of what Bannister and Landy did decades earlier. They wanted a moment that honored the past while creating something new. They got exactly that and more, because the man who won it had already rewritten the record books just weeks before stepping onto that Scotstoun track. Josh Kerr came home, and home delivered right back.